Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Erin Eno, and today's video is a review of Baohong's Academy cold pressed watercolor paper, and I'm doing it in comparison to Arches cold pressed paper. So let's just jump right into the demo. I've been meaning to do a review on the Baohong Academy watercolor paper for quite some time now, and I just received my order, so I have a brand new pad, so I thought this would be the ideal time to do a review on it. In addition to that, I've also received my order, and I have a brand new pad of the Arches watercolor paper. So, fun fact, it's pronounced Arches, not Arches, and the only reason I know this is because I've subscribed to Ellen Creamy Trent's YouTube channel, and she kindly pointed that out. So I scooted over to their website. They have a video on there, and sure enough, they pronounce it Arches. So who knew? But enough trivia, let's get on with the review. I just want to let you know the main difference is that this Academy watercolor pad, although they say pad, it's actually a block. For those that are new to using watercolor paper, a block is where it's glued on all four sides as opposed to just the top, like the Arches pad is. So price-wise, if you were to buy a block of Arches paper, it would be hugely more expensive. Hugely, is that a word? It would be significantly more expensive than the Academy. But since this doesn't come in a true pad, I have to do my comparison block to pad. So, but that's okay. Just with the Baohong pad compared to the Arches, or the Baohong block compared to the Arches pad, the Baohong is still 22% cheaper when I compare it to the lowest price that I can find this Academy on the internet, and the lowest price where I can get my Arches, which is a local store not too far from me. So I do usually get this at my local store, and the Baohong I got online. I've put a link to both in my description box below if you want to order it, and I have a feeling you might want to order this and give it a try by the time I'm done my review. So I'm just going to put that aside. Spec-wise, they are similar. They are both 300 GSM, 140 pound. The Academy block is 15 by 10.2, and the Arches pad is 10 by 14. So this is slightly bigger than the Arches pad that I have. The Arches pad comes in, well, the pad that I have is 12 sheets. This is 20. So I do want to point out that with the Baohong pad, or block rather, you get this cute little tool that you can separate your pads from the block with. So I have a bunch of these now, and I'm going to show you, just for those that are beginners, I have a smaller pad here that I have kicking around. It's seen better days. Okay, so what you do, there's always an area at the top where there's no glue. This pad's basically, or block is basically falling apart, but what you do is you put a little tool in here. You can use anything as long as it's, yeah, see, it's come off already. As long as it's dull. Don't use an X-Acto knife. Use a butter knife or something dull, and you just run this along and it separates. This is already kind of falling off the pad because it's the last two sheets, but you get the idea. Okay, so now let's look at the actual papers side by side. This is the Arches paper, and this is the Academy paper. Now, I don't know if you can see this on camera. The Academy is slightly whiter than the Arches. Now, the Arches is, looking at them side by side, it's a little grayer, which is okay by me. I just don't like a yellowy paper. But that's a little bonus for the Academy. It's a little whiter. Texture-wise, hopefully you can see this. I'll kind of tilt it around. The Academy is a slightly rougher texture than the Arches, and same on the back. The Academy's a little rougher. And also, I want to point out that Both are paintable front and back. I have used front and back on both and never had an issue. So that being said, I'm going to do a side-by-side comparison, and I want to do them at the same time to make sure that it's that we're comparing apples to apples. So first off, I want to do some swatches for vibrancy. So I'm going to just put down some color, and then once they're dry, we can compare the two. So we'll put these aside and we'll look at them once they're dry. Okay, so here's my comparison sheet that I'm going to be using. There's colors on here already because I want to test the lifting and the reactivating and lifting on pigments after they're dry. So I've pre-painted those and dried them. So let's start with blends, and we'll take a pinky color here. Maybe a little more than that. Whoops. Okay, get some water and we'll just kind of blend this out. Keep cleaning off my brush and dragging this out. Okay. And we can see that blend. We'll do the same thing on the Baohong. And we'll do a 2-color blend. Okay, now we'll look at some bleeds. So I'm going to do, sorry, I'm trying to keep these both on camera, but this is a little bigger than I had anticipated. So I'm going to take a yellow, same thing over here. And while it's wet, I'm going to bleed in some red. Now I know this red bleeds quite fast, so it should be a good indication. So I'm just gonna tap it and tap it, and we'll see where that goes. So that's bleeding into color. And we'll also just put down some, that's not very clean. It's a little, my water's a little dirty, but that's okay. And we'll just see how far a color bleeds out. I'll pick one that doesn't bleed all crazy. So we'll go with the, actually, you know what? We'll go with the ultramarine blue. See how that one goes. So I'm just going to draw a line and see how that bleeds out. So with the lifting, I want to use the same two colors. We'll do the dry and then we'll do the wet. So lifting from dry, we're basically looking at reactivating and lifting. So I'm just going to reactivate halfway down, see if it does reactivate. And I'm going to see how it reactivates on the edge here for smoothing an existing color. And this is a staining pigment, so I've also picked a non-staining pigment to see how that reacts as well. So okay, so now I'm going to lift with my brush. So I'm just going to clean off my brush, tap it off on my paper towel, and just see how this lifts once it's activated. And I'm also going to see how it lifts using a paper towel once it's activated. Get a clean spot on my paper towel there. Okay, so that's that. And we'll go to the non-staining color and reactivate that. So that reactivates quite quickly. See if we can blend that out. Sorry, this one's probably off camera here. So it reactivates quite quickly on the Baohong as well. And then we'll lift with the brush, a clean damp brush. And then just with a paper towel. Wow, I wasn't expecting that. This one didn't lift as much, but this one really did well. So there you go. Okay, so now we'll do wet lifting with the same colors, which was this one here. This is a permanent red light is what I'm using. So, and this is a staining color, I know for sure. So I'm going to go in with a clean damp brush again and just try to lift it like so. And then also just using the paper towel. And then we'll do a non-staining color. Sorry, the color I'm using for that is turquoise. And we'll lift with the brush. Is that on camera? Sorry if it's not. I'm not working on the largest surface here. And then we'll do that same thing and then lift with the paper towel. Now, the next thing to test is blooms. So for the blooms, I'm just going to mix these two colors together. Why not? Why not? Wow, could I be any more out of frame here? I'm sorry guys, but I do show all the final results in just a minute. Okay, so blooms, I guess depending on where you are, you typically call them a bloom or a back run or a cauliflower mark. So that's what we're gonna test here. So basically it's when you put water into a pigment. So you're adding, when you add water and there's more water in that area, it pushes the pigment away. So we're going to see just by tapping the brush on there, and then also by drawing a line across like so. And we'll see how they bloom out. Okay, so the last thing I want to test is uneven water, and I know I have issues with kind of like the greens a lot, so I'm going to deliberately make this an uneven brush stroke by having more pigment than water in one area and then a pool of water on the other side, and we'll see how harsh the break is when it dries. Okay, so actually, you know what, I'm gonna do a leaf shape because that's usually what the issue is. So okay, so you can see how there's a little more pigment here than there is here. So there's more water in that, I don't know, tip it and you can see, okay. So I want to see how this dries. Actually, I'm just going to tap in a bit more here, just so we know we have more water towards this bottom edge, and we'll see if that dries evenly or not. And we'll do the same thing on the Baohong side. I'm going to get rid of my paints because that's clearly I do not have enough room here. Okay, I want to make this even more drastic a change, so we'll do that. You can already see it, the difference in the drying there. And we'll see how that one goes. Okay, so our color swatches have dried, and I'd say for vibrancy, they're pretty much equal. So I don't see much difference here. I don't know how it shows up on camera, but in real live person here, I don't see any difference really. So that's a good thing. Okay. So now we'll look at our test sheets. We've got the Arche paper on the left, the Baohong Academy on the right. I think I forgot to mention that the Baohong Academy paper here is graded by them as a student grade paper. So we are comparing a student grade paper to what is considered a professional paper. The Baohong does have a professional line, but I haven't tried it, simply for the fact that it is a lot more expensive than their student grade paper, so I wouldn't be buying it. So that's why I want to compare this with the Arche. So in looking at the blends, I kind of can, well, not kind of, I can see that you get a smoother blend with the Arche, and you get more of a kind of spidery look, spider veiny look there on the Baohong, and I do find that. Actually, I have noticed that, but not a big deal because, you know, when that happens, you can just kind of blend that out. And for the blending color to color, I see they both worked quite well, really. As for bleeds, you can see the Baohong bled out a lot further than the Arche, and it continued to bleed along that kind of softer, lighter edge, which depending on what kind of paintings you're doing, that may be a good thing or maybe a bad thing. So I'll let you be the judge on that one. When we're bleeding wet on wet, like just this was supposed to be clean water, but it really wasn't. I can see that the Arche bled a lot more, which is odd because it didn't here. So go figure. This was paint in paint. This was paint in water. So this actually went a little spider veiny as well, but this one is definitely more. Let's got a little drop of water on there. Now for the reactivation and the lifting, we'll look at the staining colors first. So the staining colors, reactivation, they both reactivated well in my eyes. The Arche may be a little better because you can see it's a softer blend there than it is here, and it also lifted out better. This one lifted more when I did the straight line. This one kind of bled more when I did the straight line. So that is something to keep in mind. And this lifted better than the Baohong. Now for the lifting on the wet, the Arche also did lift a little better. And I have found that on the Baohong that you know, if you're doing clouds or something and you're trying to lift it, it is a little more tenacious. I like that word, when it's on the Baohong. So it's a little more difficult to lift. So you can really see the difference here. Now in a non-staining color, this was kind of odd because in the non-staining color, it lifted better on the Baohong. And I find that it reactivated a little better on the Baohong, which is odd. See, this one's kind of softer blend there than this one, and this definitely lifted out better. And this straight line lift expanded more on the Baohong. So that's kind of weird, but anyway, now I know. Now with the non-staining wet lift, I would say they're both pretty equal on that one. The Arche may have lifted a little better with the paper towel, but not much. And when we look at the blooms, this definitely bloomed more. I wasn't expecting that. I really wasn't expecting that. I thought it would bloom more on here. So that to me is a good thing, because this is a really harsh bloom. You can see the edges, and this is more of a soft bloom. So you don't get as white an area if you're using it to do clouds or something, if you're using that technique, but it does give a softer edge. And like if you were trying to do a deliberate bloom, you wouldn't be happy with this harsh edge, and you would have to kind of try to blend that out, where this one doesn't leave so much of a harsh edge, which I think is a good thing. Now for the uneven water, I'm surprised because this one is quite nice and soft and didn't leave that harsh edge. This is a hard test to do because it's really kind of hard to do them completely equal. But I do have a harsh edge here, and I find that where I laid the extra paint down or extra water, it blended out more. This one kind of dried more evenly, and I'm surprised. So I'm not really sure if this is a great test because that's hard to control. So there you go. Hopefully I've given you enough information and showing you enough here that you can make the call. I think based on this, that this is an awesome paper for the money, especially if you're looking for a watercolor block. You really can't beat this. And maybe one day I'll you know, dole out the money and get their professional paper as well and give that a go. Now, also, I do want to point out, if you do go to the links below, as I'm doing this, they're out of stock. So I do find that once it comes in stock, it doesn't last long. So I usually order it right away. So keep that in mind. So that's it for today, guys. I hope you found this helpful and maybe even discovered a new paper that you can use. So if you have any questions or feedback, please let me know in the comment section below. If you like this video and you want to see some beginner-friendly tutorials, watercolor tutorials, please make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell to know when I have new videos up. And I'm also on Instagram, so I hope to see you over there as well. So take care. I'll see you on the next one, and have a great day.